What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Hope you are having a great. What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. Good day to have a good day. Thanks for joining in. I appreciate you being here. For those of you that are watching on Zoom, hope you guys are doing well. For those of you that are out there on Facebook, feel free to drop your name into the chat box or drop where you're tuning in from. Would love to hear where everybody is tuning in from today. I'm getting a little bit of an echo. Hang on one second here. This is what happens when you try to go on multiple platforms at the same time. So what's going on? How's everybody's Friday? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. Listen, we've got some great information coming your way, but before we get started, I would love to know where you guys are tuning in from. So drop into the chat box. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If you click the share button and share this video, please type share into the chat box so I can say hello. What's going on, Ryan? Hope you are doing well, my friend, and I'm feeling you. I'm ready for fall as well. I saw your post this morning, totally feeling you. What's going on? Hello, Michigan. Hey, Shauna, good to have you tuning in. Hey, Alexis, hope you're doing well. Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys tuning in here today. So this is a special event that I am doing for my generic MLM training group called Momentum. If you are not a member of that group, then head on over there and see what the conversation's all about. We're just doing some great information, business building tips, and a lot of value in there as well. So today, I actually, it's normally private. Today, I opened it up so you can kind of get a sneak peek. I'm going to be closing that back down here in a couple of hours, and that gave us the opportunity to be able to share this video as well. Hey, good to have you guys on. So once again, if you're just tuning in, feel free to type into the chat box below. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And with that, I want to get into a great conversation today about some things that every entrepreneur, especially my network marketing friends, should be prepared to ask yourself. So we're going to get into that today. I encourage you to grab a success journal, find a quiet spot over the next 25 minutes because we've got some great information coming your way. So listen, for those of you that, first of all, don't know me, my name is Travis Flaherty. I'm an attraction marketing specialist. I love entrepreneurship. I've been married for 20 years. We have 6 beautiful children. My oldest is 19 years old, almost 20, and he's actually getting married in about 60 days. So totally crazy, but he's an old soul, and we love who he's marrying. So we couldn't be happier. And then, of course, we go all the way down to our 3-year-old, and his name is Legend, and he is just our crazy, fun-spirited, energetic. He's the only one left that we have at the house. And if you saw my personal Facebook page today, I put a post up that said "Rolling into Friday," and that's exactly what he does while I'm doing these type of webinars all day long. He's cruising through the house on his big wheel. He's got his, I don't know what the deal is, but lately, he wants to wear his swim goggles. So he's got his swim goggles on and he's just going back and forth in the hallway. And I feel very blessed to be able to be at home every day with him. We've been entrepreneurs our entire adult life. You know, we started off in the gym business. We lived here in Arizona. We live here now, but we started off in Arizona and started a small little gym business, and we grew that up and had multiple locations here in the Valley. We sold it. We moved up to Utah and had no idea that Utah was like the mecca of network marketing. And it was funny because when I used to own the gyms, I used to have people all the time that would walk in the door and they tried to get me involved in whatever company it was, whatever product that they were promoting. And I was always like, no, I'm not interested. Stay away from me. But what I found over the years was the reason why I got into entrepreneurship in the first place is that I wanted to be able to own my own time. How many of you can relate to that? You want to be able to do the things that you want to do rather than the things that you have to do. My mind has always worked that way. You know, as far back as I can remember, I remember being 12 years old and started my first business, and it was called JLT Car Washers. I had a little bucket, and I remember taking the time, and I put a little J and an L and a T on the side of the bucket and a little lightning bolt, and it stood for Jason, Lance, and Travis. And Jason, a couple of my friends, and their friends still with me on Facebook today, but started that. And guess what my role was? My role was to go out, knock doors, and get the business. Imagine that. I was the marketing and sales guy. And this is where I first started to get my first taste of leverage, because I would go out, I'd knock on doors, and I would get the business, and then Jason and Lance would wash the cars. And so that was the first time that I had the opportunity to be able to experience kind of owning my own business and leveraging other people's time and other people's efforts. And that carried through, even in high school. My dad he was a great provider for our family. He was always a senior level executive at whatever company he was working for, handled mergers and acquisitions, and he's a CFO and, very successful. But he never owned his own business. And I always asked him, Dad, why do you always make everybody else so much money? And it was kind of like that typical rich dad, poor dad scenario. And, he would come home from school and I would have ordered circulars from different franchises. I remember when Cold Stone Creamery first came out and they only had like 1 or 2 locations. And I was just like, we need to buy one of these. And then GNC, remember GNC started just popping up in every mall. And I'm like, we got to buy one of those franchises. And so I would order these circulars and I'd have them sitting out on the counter when he came home. And I always wanted to, run the business. I thought, man, you go buy the franchise and I'll work there. And so that's kind of how my mind works. And so, when I had the opportunity, right out of high school, I started my first actual pressure washing company. It was my first traditional business. I had a little bit of money, a few $1,000s saved up, and I went and I bought this little 3,000 PSI pressure washer. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea, but I thought, man, I started seeing, I'd walk into different restaurants and grocery stores and Circle K gas stations, and the concrete was always filthy. And I thought, man, I'm just going to go buy a pressure washer and go offer to clean these people's concrete. So I did, and I started a company called Advanced Pressure Washing, and I got my first Circle K account. I remember what that felt like. It was a big deal. I walked in, and I convinced them to let me clean their concrete for free, and that led to eventually having all of the Circle Ks in the East Valley area here in Arizona, and eventually spread to multiple restaurants and multiple trucks and multiple friends that were working for me. I remember a friend at one time said to me, so what are you going to do? Are you going to clean concrete the rest of your life? Because at that point, I was like, I'm not going to school anymore. School was not for me. True story. I went to school for 1 day and I went to school for 1 hour. I didn't actually even make it through the first hour. I sat for about a half an hour and I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I just thought, this is just not for me. How many of you guys can relate to that? I'm not against education. I think education is great. But for me, I needed to be learning hands-on. I needed to be learning from entrepreneurs and people that owned businesses and, apprentice, I wanted to apprentice somebody that had the kind of success that I wanted to have. And so for me, I left school. My dad wasn't happy, you can imagine. And we went out and started Advanced Pressure Washing. And I remember a friend of mine said, so what are you going to do the rest of your life? Are you just going to clean concrete? And I said, no, I'm going to hire you guys to clean the concrete. And I did. And I helped put them through college, and they put me into my first house when I was 21 years old. And since that time, I've just never looked back. I sold that and I got involved in the gym business, and I started a company called Synergy. And we had, again, locations here in Arizona, and we built that up. We moved to Utah. And like I said, it was the mecca of network marketing. I had no idea, what I was getting myself into when I moved there. And a really good friend of mine, a guy by the name of Steve Hart, we're still dear friends today, love him dearly, and his beautiful wife, Amy. They introduced me to network marketing back in 2005. And I had a lot of preconceived notions about network marketing. How many of you guys can relate? Drop an I into the comments section if you were like, I don't know about this. But I decided to take a closer look. And let me tell you why. Because I believe that the height of all stupidity is forming an opinion without knowing all the facts. Hey, Jade, how are you? Good to see you. I see Ryan saying, go blue, go Buckeyes. So I believe that the height of all stupidity is forming an opinion without knowing all the facts. So I decided to take a closer look. What I found was not at all what I perceived. What I found was this excellent way to be able to start building this residual income stream. You see, for me, I've always been after one thing, okay? I'm always after time. Time is the most valuable commodity that we have, and you'll never get it back. And I believe that the key to getting this back is to be able to go out and acquire IPAs, income producing assets. Income producing assets, that's the key to residual income. So let's talk a little bit about residual income. Residual income is money that continues to come to you month after month, whether you go to work or not. Linear income is what most people are used to. They go to work, they get paid. When they're not at work, they don't get paid. So I was after residual income at this point in my life. Why? Because even though I owned a traditional business, I had all of these employees, all of this overhead, and it seemed like for me to get ahead, I had to continue to expand, which required me to put more money. I had to go deeper into debt. I had to take on more responsibility. And if you've ever had employees, and more employees you have, you know that there's sometimes a lot of headaches and drama that goes along with that as well. So for me, and then this was the big thing. At this time I had 3 young children and I had no time to be able to do anything that I wanted to do because I was always at work. I was married to my business. When I came home, I was always stressed out. So I was looking for something more residual. So around 2005, Steve and Amy Hart said, hey, listen, we want to invite you to take a look at this new company that's launching. And I remember what Steve said. He says, I don't know that much about the industry, but what I do know, there's a lot of people that are making a lot of money in this industry and it's residual. And I'm going to go build this. That's what he tells me. And I just remember going, I don't know. He invited me to the first meeting he had, and I didn't go. And, at that time, we were launching another company called Go Leads. It was a lead generation company out of Utah. And so I just kept focusing on that. And I watched Steve's success. Within the first 6 months, he had a tremendous amount of success. And I watched him sell his business and start doing this full time. And he was working from home, and I'll never forget it. It was a Wednesday morning. I'm driving to my office, and he's out there on this little lawnmower, and he's got his little boy sitting in his lap. And I remember thinking to myself, I stopped, and I go, don't you have to be at work? Just kind of messing with him. And he's like, actually, no. And he goes on to tell me that he had just sold his company and that he was now doing this full time. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And he's like, yeah, you remember that thing I told you about? It's going really, really well. And I was like, maybe I should take a closer look at this. And so I did, and here's what I found. What I found was it was an outstanding way to develop residual income, that it was a great income-producing asset. Why? Because if you look at many of the different income-producing asset options that are available to you. What's up, Diana? How are you? Good to see you. So you've got a couple of different options, right? There's a lot of different options. You can get involved in real estate, but real estate takes what? Takes some money to get involved. And then you've got, maybe some franchises. Well, franchises, you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars to go out and buy some different franchises. So that's an option for you. You can get involved in investments of some kind. But again, if you're going to be investing your money so that you're leveraging that money and putting it to work for you, what do you have to have? You've got to have some of this up front. Or you get involved in a network marketing business. And the network marketing business doesn't really require much capital. You can get involved for a few $100s, and instead you're trading your sweat equity. And I liked that. And I also liked that you could build something on the side, right? Jim Rohn said it best. Go to work full-time to pay your bills, but in the part-time or spare time, you work on building your fortune. So I looked at all this and I said, you know what? This really is in alignment with what my goal is, which is to have more time. And here I am. I've been prejudging this, which again, the height of all stupidity is forming an opinion without knowing all the facts. And yet here it is in complete alignment with what it is that I want to do. And so I got involved in that company. We were very fortunate to also have Eric Worre as an upline. And that was before Eric Worre really became Eric Worre. And it was a blessing. It was a blessing for our family. And over the next couple of years, we built a fantastic side business. 2008 hit. And who remembers 2008? What happened in 2008? The economy crashes and we lost everything. It was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. I mean, I lost we had a car repossessed. Never had that happen before. We had, we lost our home. It was just a difficult time in our life. But here's what I've learned is sometimes you go through challenges in life to push you down a different path to exactly where you're supposed to be. And because of that, we decided to take that network marketing business. And here's what we said. We said, you know what, if we were to take the same professionalism, the same approach that we have taken with our traditional business, treat it like a business rather than treat it like a hobby. Most people in network marketing, they treat it like a hobby. They dabble with it. They play around with it. But what if we were to go all in? And not only just to go all in, but back then, especially in 2005, 2006, somewhere in there, and back 2008 even, there was still a pretty strong stigma. I remember so many of my friends, Facebook had just come out, and here I am promoting a network marketing company. Everybody's like, Travis has lost his mind. He's in a pyramid scheme. Travis is in a pyramid scheme. So that's what everybody would say. That's what everyone was telling me. And so, back then, it was a little bit different. And I lost my train of thought, but we're just going to keep going. So anyhow, we started the business, and we were very fortunate. We went all in. We decided to bring the same level of professionalism that we brought to our traditional businesses, and that was to help overcome that stigma. And I remember, I would go to meetings. I'd wear a full-on suit every meeting that I went to. Here I was, this 30-year-old, no credibility in this business. And you know what, within a year, we were able to replace our income. But let me tell you guys something. My quality of life totally changed because now I was working from home. Walking the kids to the bus stop in the morning and home when they got from school. I was one of the only dads at every school function that you can imagine, started traveling the world, creating amazing life experiences with the people that I love and care about most. And now I own my own time. Doesn't mean that I don't work. I work extremely hard, but I work hard and I play hard. And one of the greatest blessings of all is I believe that true fulfillment comes from contribution. Drop a 9 in the comment section if you would agree. True fulfillment comes from contribution. I love that I get to play a part in working with people and helping them dream bigger and think bigger, and to be able to create additional revenue streams, to be able to develop income producing assets that lead to residual income so that they can have more time to be able to spend it with the people that they care about most. Like, I love that. I get up every day excited about that component of what I do. So anyways, that just gives you a little bit of history of me and who we are. Let's talk a little bit about some 5 things that every entrepreneur should be prepared. I can't talk this morning. Prepared to ask if you are really wanting to be successful. I mean, I'm talking about if you're really, really wanting to take your business, whatever business that you're in. It could be real estate. It could be, you know, you could be a insurance salesperson or insurance agent. You could be a network marketing professional. I'm going to talk to my friends that are network marketers, but these principles apply to any entrepreneur. Okay. So here's the first question. Number 1, okay, what is your goal? What's your dream? Simple question. What is your goal? And what is your dream? Wake up. You wouldn't wake up in the morning and grab your car keys and just start driving without knowing where you're headed, but that's how most people live their lives. And if you can't hit a bullseye without having a target, without having a destination. And I think what happens in life is when we're younger, you know, when we're in elementary school, it's what do you want to be? Oh, I want to be a pilot. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be in the military, or I want to be, you know, you've got these big dreams. Now, I'm going to give you. So I remember in school, we had this like career day when I was in, I don't know, 2nd or 3rd grade. And my mom came to school and we all like went up and we said, what do we want to be when we grow up? And for some reason I said beer truck driver. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. Do you guys remember Smokey and the Bandit? I just remember thinking that the truck that the guy drove, I can't remember his name now, was so cool. And I just remember seeing my mom's face when I said that I wanted to be a beer truck driver. So anyways, we had these dreams. I wanted to be a beer truck driver. You might have wanted to be a doctor. I don't know. But anyhow, we get into middle school and we start thinking a little more seriously. You start taking some tests, but you're still thinking, you know, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to have an amazing life and I'm going to have, you know, I'm going to be able to do all these things and travel. And then you get into high school and now you're really getting prepared and you start thinking, well, maybe I should go to college. Maybe I shouldn't. And this is when the decisions start to really matter. And then all of a sudden you get into your 20s and then it's like, whoa, wait a second. Life became really real, really fast. I wish I could go back to school again. And then all of a sudden, you know, you start having kids and get married and then you get into your 30s and all of a sudden you start kind of going, wait a second, this isn't necessarily where I wanted to be. You know, I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to be this business owner, or I wanted to be whatever the case. And then all of a sudden, you know, there's this period of time between 35 and 55. We call it 35 to 55 married kids and bills. And it's actually the target demographic for network marketing. Why? Because that's the age where people are going, just kind of dissatisfied. Not really, you know, I'm not really where I thought I'd be financially. I don't really have any money set aside for retirement. I don't really love what I do. I mean, I go to work and it pays the bills, but it isn't giving me true fulfillment. I'm not passionate about it. And so they start searching for something. And usually people are searching for one of 3 things, right? They're searching for more time, they're searching for more money in their life, or they're searching for better health. That's why network marketing, that's typically the people that you talk to. So, you know, I would ask you to consider what really is your goal? Like, what is it that you want? I want to encourage you to start dreaming again, because adults just kind of turn that part of their brain off. That imagination goes off. And we just start settling for life. We believe that maxed out credit cards and broken dreams are the norm. And you kind of get into this routine and it can feel monotonous at times. I mean, I've even been there. You know, just kind of, man, I'm just going through the motions. And so I would ask you to start dreaming again, to really start considering what it is that you want. Like if you had the ability to be able, if I gave you this magic pen and a journal in front of you, and I just said, just write out your perfect life, what would it mean to you? What would it be? I would imagine that having more time is probably on that list to do what you want to do, probably being in better health, probably paying down some credit cards, maybe paying off some debt, maybe being able to be not owe some. Can you imagine what it just would feel like? Can you imagine the feeling of putting your head on a pillow at night and not owing one person anything, just being completely debt-free? What an amazing feeling that would be. What's your dream? What do you really want in life? You've got to think about that. You've got to get really in touch with it. It could be, if you're a network marketer, what's your next rank? What's your next rank? What does that look like to you? It can be both short-term and long-term. I like short-term goals. I like daily goals. I like waking up and going, what can I get excited about today? It's a question that I ask myself every day in the shower. What can I get excited about today? What do I want to accomplish today? How do I want to show up today? What's the energy that I want to bring to that first call that I have? What's the energy that I need to bring to the strategy session that I'm having today? I asked that question, Jade, yesterday before you and I met. What energy do I want to bring to this meeting? These are questions that I ask myself just even on a daily basis. Those are mini goals. Then you take it out a little further. What's your monthly goal? And then the next one, what's your yearly goal? And then the next one, what's your 5-year goal? What's your 10-year goal? And if you don't have a very crystal clear picture, anything can happen, right? It's just a matter of you're just kind of wandering aimlessly. There's no real plan in place. So you've got to figure out, if you want to, it's amazing when you start to figure out what it is that you truly want. And sometimes people are surprised when they go through that process of exploration to realize that what they thought they might want isn't really what they wanted at all. To me, I'll tell you what I want. I'll tell you one of the key things that I'm after: peace of mind. I don't think that you can put a price tag on peace of mind. Would you guys agree? And to me, peace of mind comes from not owing one person anything, just nothing. I want that freedom to just know that I don't owe anybody anything. I want to know that my children are just taken care of. I don't mean that, I want to know that they have the ability to be able to go to school if they want to go to school. I want to know that they have the ability to be able to get started off in their lives, to get with, if I needed to support and help them a little bit. I don't mean support them. Scratch that. If you guys are watching, I don't mean support them, help them, make sure that I'm there as kind of the patriarch of our family. I want to be able to serve and add value, all of those things. But I want peace of mind. That's what I'm after more than anything. Peace of mind comes from fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from contribution, making a difference in the world. That's what I'm after. So I would ask you, what is your goal? What is your dream? What is your next rank? Whatever that looks like to you, that's question number 1. Okay, now question number 2. I grabbed the wrong marker, but question number 2. What are you willing to do to get there? What are you willing to do or give up to get there? It's called the law of sacrifice. It's easy to think about this, right? It's easy to think about, where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to have? How do I want to show up in the world? How do I want to make a difference? But the real question is, what are you willing to do, or what are you willing to give up to accomplish that goal and dream? I had this mentor, love him dearly, friend of mine. His name's Stephen, and Stephen was a mentor to me. He taught me the profession of network marketing. And I remember it was 2008, 2009. We started to kind of get our feet back on the ground again. And we had this little 18-foot Bayliner boat, right? This little boat. And I remember my business at that time, network marketing, it was like I would make like $4,000 one month, and then I'd make like $700 the next month. Anybody relate to that, right? You think you made like $400, $500, $4,000, $5,000. I'm going to quit my job, right? I made it. And then the next month you make like $600. And so I was just kind of doing this, right? I was going up, down, and really down, and starting over again. And that's kind of what I was doing. So I go see my mentor, Stephen. I got to figure out how to just get to here. Like, I have got to figure out how to get to the next level. And, I'm ready for the wisdom. You know what I mean? Like, I'm teachable, I'm coachable. What do they say? I mean, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So here I am. I'm like, give it to me. What do I need to do? What do I need to change to get to there? And you know what he says to me? He says, you need to sell your boat. And I'm like, sell my boat? He's like, yeah, you need to sell your boat. And I'm like, I'm here to give me the, like, I'm ready to get mentored. Like, talk to me. Tell me what I need to do. What do I need to say? How do I need to go recruit more people? He says, you need to sell your boat. And I remember thinking, disappointed, like, what kind of advice is that? And he says, Travis, what you have to understand is that most people go to work during the week, and they're busy during the week. They've got work, soccer, baseball. On the weekends, that's when they've got their guard down a little bit and they're more relaxed. And if you really want to take your business to the next level, it's all in the shows. It's all in the amount of times that you're sharing the plan. The one thing that's going to determine what your paycheck looks like at the end of the week, how many times you share the plan, how many times you showed the plan. And he said, so if you need to get your income up, then it's about increasing the amount of shows. And the best way for you to get some more shows is by taking the weekends on. And I noticed that you and your family, you guys seem to go boating a lot on the weekends. And I said, yeah, well, that's my pastime, and that's what I love to do. And he said, well, can you imagine that if you were just getting an extra, let's just say 3 appointments every single day on Saturday, maybe even 3 on Sunday, you're taking the weekends on. Let's just say that you could get somewhere in the neighborhood of, on average, 5 extra appointments, and there's 52 weeks a year. That's an extra 250 shows. And even if you're bad at this business, that's an extra 25 people into the business. Once you start to develop some skills, you're at about 20%. It's an extra 50 people you put into your business. An extra 50 people in your business, guess that's what's going to do to your income. And I thought, man, take the weekends on. I never thought about that. So I didn't take his advice. I wanted to go boating on the weekend, so I didn't take his advice. 6 months goes by. Same spot. I'm still in the exact same spot. What do I need to do? Travis, you need to increase the shows. One thing that's going to determine what your paycheck looks like is how many times you share the plan. Have you sold your boat yet? I'm like, here he is with this boat thing again. Ladies and gentlemen, I eventually sold the boat. And we went through this practice in 2009. I think it was January 2009 or January 2010. Summer's better at dates than I am. So we sat down as a family and we got all these magazines and we're like, okay, dream board, right? Get crystal clear on our dream. So we went around the table and first the girls went, our younger girls and Chandler, and they put all the stuff that had to do with Disneyland on this whiteboard. I'll never forget, they put like Belle and Cinderella and the castle, and they wanted to go to Disneyland. We had never taken them to Disneyland at that point. I was always too busy. I own my own businesses. I was just always too busy. So then it came to Summer, and Summer put this home, and I can imagine or picture the home that she put. It was a Tuscan themed home, kind of like something like you would see in a winery, just very beautiful Tuscan inside and out, beautiful bricks and just all this stuff. And she's like, I want to build our own home. I want to design our own home. I've never done that before. We've always bought an existing home. And in my mind, I remember even thinking, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, well, that's kind of a stretch. That's an expensive home you want to build there. But, we put it on the board anyways. It's where your stinking thinking sets in, right? We can't help it. We can't help it. We come up with a thought and immediately have to come up with a negative thought and it's like self-sabotage. It's the adversary's way of trying to take you from your greatness or from the abundance that you so rightfully deserve. And so it came to me. And I was like, well, I want to have another boat. And not only do I want to have another boat, but man, I love Lake Powell. I want to go to Lake Powell, and I want to not only have Lake Powell, but I would love to be, big dream, big pie in the sky dream. I'd love to have some ownership and a share on one of those giant houseboats on Lake Powell. If you've never been to Lake Powell, it's one of those beautiful places on the planet. So we defined it, sold the boat, took the weekends on for the next year and a half. So let me fast forward. Let me tell you the rest of the story. As Paul Harvey would say. Anybody remember Paul Harvey? So the rest of the story. So it's the early 2011, and we're unpacking, and we're in a garage. And I pull out of this box this folded up poster board, and I open it up, and I just started crying. Literally, just tears just coming down my face. It was the poster board that we had made a few years earlier. But here's the thing. We were standing in the house that we had just built, that my wife designed, that was a beautiful Tuscan home, sitting on a golf course, overlooking a lake with a beautiful courtyard. She picked every single stone in that house, every single color, every single light fixture. She had tile flown in from Mexico because it had little footprints of animals that were built in some village, made in some village somewhere. I mean, it was beautiful. And I had a new 23-foot Wakesetter LSV ski boat sitting in my driveway. And get this, we had just gotten back from Disneyland, and we had just bought a 1/8 share in a beautiful 72-foot houseboat, 4-bedroom houseboat sitting on Lake Powell. If you tell me that getting crystal clear on what you want and the law of sacrifice doesn't work, I'm going to have to disagree with you. So that is why it's so important to ask these kind of questions and continually ask these kind of questions. Okay, now here's the number 3 one. Now let's get into it. So we've been talking a little bit, we start off kind of at macro high levels, right? So we're gonna dig down a little deeper now, right? So we've talked about the first 2. What's your dream? What do you want? What's your goal? What's your next rank? Whatever it is to you, okay? So that's number 1. So the first one, dream. Second one, what are you willing to give up? Here's the third one. What's your DMO? What is your DMO? Your DMO is your daily method of operation. See, in my experience, daily goals, daily habits, daily activities, and a daily method of operation is the key. A lot of people in entrepreneurship go, well, I don't have a boss. Yeah, you do. You know what your boss is? Your calendar. That's your boss. And too many people aren't planning their days. They're not managing their time efficiently. And as a result, their time is managing them. And so I would ask you to consider for a moment, what does your daily method of operation look like? What are your habits? How are you spending your time? Are you, organizing your calendar accordingly? John Maxwell says you'll never change your life until you change something that you do daily. And it's so true. Think about it. It's not something that you do every once in a while. It's something that you do every single day. Let me talk to you about a story about consistency for a moment. I want you guys to imagine if you were out in the middle of a ski lake and it was the first time that you were going to go skiing. You're a little bit nervous, but you decided we're going to do this. And so you're behind this ski boat and, there's some slack in the rope and you're sitting there and they tell you to point the skis upward and you're thinking, okay, here we go. And you give them the thumbs up and they tighten up the slack a little bit and they start to take off. And the first time that you go water skiing, the natural tendency is to try and pull yourself out of the water, right? But at the same time, the boat's going. So what happens? Momentum kicks in, boom, face plant right into the water. And it doesn't feel good. But let's say that you had the courage to do it again. Feels awkward, feels uncomfortable, stepping outside of your comfort level, but you're still doing it. And so this time you do it again. This time you get a little bit further before you fall. You do it again. This time you actually get out of the water, and just as you get out of the water, the boat driver stops, and you sink back down in the water again. Thinking, well, what's the deal? He's like, oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. I thought you fell. I'll go again. So this time, same thing, get out of the water, and now you're out, and you're just starting to feel the wind blowing in your hair, and guess what happens? He stops the boat again, and you sink back down. And you're thinking, okay, what's the deal? I'm done with this. I'm tired of having water in my face. I'm tired of literally having the resistance all the time. Here's the thing. That's what some of you are doing in your business right now, every single day. You've got water in your face, and it's just hard because the hardest part's getting up. It's not what you do every once in a while that's going to change your life. Too many people show up in my industry in network marketing every once in a while, and you're never going to get out of the water. But let me tell you something. If you just do a few simple things every day over a long enough period of time, the law of compounding starts to kick in, and eventually you get out of the water. And now you're thinking, this is what momentum feels like. Wow, it's no longer just me. I'm starting to get some leverage. I'm starting to see a couple of sales a day on my team, and then eventually 5 sales a day on your team, and all of a sudden 10 sales a day, and then you get to 20 sales and 30 sales a day. And it's not even you. It's just in your organization happening every single day. And you're out of the water, and you're thinking, man, this is fun. This is exciting. This feels good. That's what it takes. It's the law of consistency. So my question to you is, what does your DMO look like? Are you just letting your days happen to you, or are you planning your days? Are you taking the time the night before to think about what are the things that you need to accomplish? If you know that you only have 2 hours in the day to be able to build your business, are those 2 hours focused around income producing activities? Or are you sitting there scrolling Facebook looking at what everybody else is doing in their business? Social media just kills me. So many people, we throw our time away. We waste our time watching other people build their dreams. Think about that. So many of us are just throwing our time away doing this, scrolling. And literally, if you took 60 minutes, a power hour every day, and you really focused on the income producing activities in your business, whatever it is, if you're a realtor prospecting, whatever it is, and you did that consistently over a long enough period of time, you are going to get yourself some momentum. So you got to focus in on that daily method of operation. You know, the top performers, the high performers, they understand that time is their most valuable commodity. And I'll tell you what, I don't invest my time into people that are not ready. I'm just going to be straight with you. People reach out to me and they ask me, you know, to work with them and help them. If they're not, I'll give you an example of one. So if somebody reaches out to me and they need my help, but they're not even on an auto ship, guess what? You're not ready. You don't understand what the business is about. And I've got thousands of people that I have to work with. And I have to identify the ones that are ready, because I have to know that wherever I invest my time, it's the most valuable commodity that I have, I'm going to get the greatest return. So for me, I can't work with everybody. I have a hot list of people that I work with every week, and hot list of the people that are showing up to the calls. They are committed, they're teachable, they're on auto, they're doing the things that they're supposed to do. So if somebody's dangling their toe in the water and asking for my time, they're probably not going to get it. No offense, you coach the masses and you mentor the few. Because I value my time, and you need to value your time. And how do you know if you value your time? Because you are planning your days. You're investing your time where you're going to get the greatest returns. You're not just letting time or the day happen to you. So critical. Number 4, ready for it? Okay, are you tracking your vitals? Are you tracking your vitals? Whatever you track can be measured. Whatever you measured can be improved. Anytime somebody comes to me and says, I need you to coach me, or I want you to mentor me, and I've worked with very high-level network marketers over the years, the first thing that I ask is that you have to be prepared to track your daily numbers, your daily activities, because that is going to be the tell-all. Your business is either growing or not growing because of what you're doing every single day, or what you're not doing every single day. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a realtor or again, if you're in insurance or if you're a network marketer, it's all the same. It's your income producing activities. You know, for example, how many people are you contacting about your product or your opportunity? So how many people are you talking to? How many conversations are you having, right? Everything comes back to conversations. You know, conversations turn into invitations. So how many conversations are you having? How many are you talking to every single day? What's your daily number? Okay, how many people are you talking to? Number 2, how many follow-ups did you do today, right? How many follow-ups are you doing each day and eventually each week? The fortune's in the follow-up, right? How many presentations are you doing? Notice how I said you. If you really want to make the big bucks in my profession, guess what? You cannot just rely on the leaders who are doing the presentations a few times a week. You eventually have to learn the presentation and how to give the presentation. You have to be able to do the presentation. You know, the first thing that I wanted to do my mentor said, listen, the first thing you need to do is get yourself to the point where you can do the presentation so that you can go and meet with people over coffee and you can sit down and tell them your story and tell them why you're excited. And if they have an interest, you share the story and share the plan with them. Share your story, share the plan. Share the story, share the plan. And so how many presentations are you doing every day and every week? Some of you that are watching, if I asked you, how many presentations have you done in the last 30 days? You would say 0. But you're wondering why you're not getting the results that you want. A true professional needs to get to a point where they can give a presentation. And then the goal is how many people do I talk to daily so that I can ultimately schedule a presentation with them. Conversations lead to invitations. Invitations lead to me meeting with them over Zoom, over coffee, and sharing with them what it is that I'm excited about, what it is that I'm doing. Now, there's on-demand tools and resources that you can send people, but never neglect the fact that eventually learning how to give the presentation, there's nothing that replaces this. Belly to belly, one-on-one. I can send somebody a presentation. Yes, that's great and it's duplicatable, but guess what? if I go meet with somebody and I'm sitting here and we're doing this, there's nothing that replaces that. If I'm one-on-one with someone, my closing percentages are close to 70%. 70% of the people that agree to sit down with me face-to-face will get involved in my business in some form or fashion. And I know that because I've done thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of webinars over my time, over my career in this profession. I used to travel around the country. It's all we did. It was call them executive appointments. I meet with 10 people a day, every day, in hotel lobbies, in different cities. People would bring their prospects to me and I'd sit down with them. So again, how many presentations are you doing this week? Okay. Number 4. That's actually number 4. One more thing on number 4 under tracking your vitals is how many people did you move into the next exposure tool or the next group? We call it ATMing in our system, right? How many people did you add to a group where they can get some third-party validation, so you can see how other people are having success either in the business or in the product? Most of the time it's the product side. How many people did you add to those groups? How many people did you tag on testimonials? How many testimonials did you grab and share with people that you've now introduced and had a conversation with and shared information and they haven't given you a decision yet? Remember, your job is to move them from one exposure to the next in as short a period of time as possible. So if somebody hasn't given me a decision, doesn't mean no. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep moving it. So I'm going to keep, reaching out to them. Hey, listen, this event's happening on Wednesday. Thought you might want to listen in. On Friday, I might send them a testimonial. Hey, just wanted to share this testimonial with you. I'm going to stay in front of them until they give me a decision. I'm not going to bug them or pester them. If they're not responding, eventually I might put them on a weekly or bi-weekly tickler and follow-up. But do you know how many people, I would say hundreds of people that we've sponsored in our business that weren't ready to give me a decision right up front, but 6 months down the road, they decided that they were ready. I've got somebody in our group right now who she's a superstar. I talked to her back in October when I was launching my business. She just got involved in July and she's killing it. One of the top recruiters in our team, in our company right now. She wasn't ready back then, but we stayed in touch and now she's involved. So how many people did you ATM in your groups? Another one, how many 3-way call connects did you do? How many 3-ways? Once you get them in front of these, once they have questions, no better way to answer those questions than to introduce them to somebody just to bring in third-party edification and validation, right? These are all things that you want to be thinking about under your vitals. So if I were coaching and mentoring you, I would ask you, show me your numbers every Monday. Give me a report. And I can tell you, first of all, if you're talking to enough people, but you're still not getting any signups, then that tells me that you're having conversations and we need to adjust the conversation a little bit. Maybe you're giving the presentation during the invitation. You're saying too much. So that would be number 1. Now, let's say that you had the invitation, the conversation and the invitation down, then that would tell me you're not doing enough follow-ups. So then we need to talk about the follow-ups. How are you following up? When are you following up? What are you saying when you follow up? And sometimes the follow-up starts during the invitation process. Sometimes people forget, they send the information, but they don't schedule the follow-up before they even send the information. So that would tell me that we need to work on that a little bit. So the numbers don't lie, and the numbers will help us to see clearly what skills we need to improve. Bottom line is if you're just doing the numbers, it doesn't matter. If you're terrible at this business, you're going to get 10% of the people to get into the business. Even if you're terrible, 10%. You talk to 100 people this month, 10 of them are going to get involved in your business in some form or fashion, some way. Okay? We're going to do a big follow-up training on Monday night for those of you that are on my team. I know this is a generic group, training, but for those of you that are on our group, we're going to do that on Monday night. So that's number 4 is, are you tracking your vitals? Your vitals, think about it. Your vitals are, like I'm laying in a hospital, my vitals are what's keeping me alive, right? They're tracking they're tracking the heart rate, right? They're tracking all these things. Your vitals, you need to be tracking them. Why? Because if whatever can be measured can be improved. So you need to define what your vitals are. I don't care what business you're in. And then you need to start tracking those. You should be able to go look back over the last 60, 90 days and say, okay, what are my vitals? And just like my mentor, Steven, shared with me back in 2008, I needed to increase my shows. I had to figure out where I was going to do that. And then guess what? The law of sacrifice kicked in. I had to be willing to give up to go up. Where was I going to get those extra shows? How was I going to do that? Especially when I had to go work a job for a short period of time to be able to provide for my family. Okay? And number 5, last one on the list that we're going to close with today. All right, so you're getting some value out of today's training. Drop an I into the comment section below. Thank you very much. If you click the share button, I certainly appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching today. If you guys are getting some value and you think that there's some other friends or team members that would enjoy what we're doing here, then invite them to come join Momentum, because we're going to start doing these on a regular basis. All right. So number five, here it is. Do you have a personal growth plan in place? Is this a priority to you? Right? People always ask me, man, how do I get my business to the next level? How do I make more money? How do I, well, obviously some of the things that we've talked about here are all important, but here's the key. Here's the big one. Become worthy of making more money. Become worthy of your next rank. Become worthy of earning 6 figures residually in this industry. Become worthy of earning 7 figures in this industry. How do you do that? It's what you bring to the table. Dollars follow value, you guys. Dollars always follow value. So really it comes back to, if I want to have more, then I have to what? I have to become more. I have to become more, right? There's John Maxwell talks about the law of the lid. Here's what he says. If we were to rate your leadership level, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, leadership level, and let's say that you were a 4, okay? And I know that many of you might be higher on this list. Some of you might be lower. Let's just say you're a 4, okay? That means that you typically are attracting 1s, 2s, and 3s to your business. Very rarely will a 4 sponsor a 5, 6, 7, or 8. Now, are there exceptions to rules? Of course, always. But general rule of thumb is if you're a 4, then this is what you're attracting. So if somebody says to me, how do I go get a big leader to join my team? You typically don't. You have to become a big leader. You have to become someone that people go, I want to work with them, because I know that if I align myself with that person, that I can learn from them and I can grow from them. And you know what? Let me tell you guys something. Some of you guys that are just limping along and just kind of touching your business every now and then, you're not inspiring anybody. This is real talk today. You're not inspiring anybody by skipping your team calls every week. You're not inspiring anybody by putting a post up once a week in your group. You're not inspiring anybody just by kind of dabbling every now and then, putting a few posts up and acting like you are a leader, because people can see through that. If you want to inspire people, guess what? It's example. Leadership is example, nothing more, nothing less. And your commitment level and your consistency has to match your dreams. So if you really want to attract a 5, 6, 7, or 8, you've got to become a 6, 7, or 8. You've got to become an 8 or a 9 to attract 6 and 7s. How do you do that? By being consistent. By being consistent, you start to get what? Results. Results give you what else? Credibility. With credibility, you have solvency. Without it, you're bankrupt. And again, this is just real talk. It really just comes back to, what do you want, right? And what are you willing to do? What are you willing to give up to get there? But at the end of the day, if you really want to make the big money in your profession, again, real estate, network marketing, I don't care. You've got to stop dabbling. You've got to stop dipping your toe in the water. You've got to stop lying to yourself and telling yourself that you were busy this week when you weren't. Because there's time. We all have the same amount of time in every single day. Get up 2 hours earlier if you need to. Go to bed an hour later. Is the sacrifice worth this? If you knew that you had to get up 2 hours earlier and go to bed an hour later for the next 2 years or 3 years so that you could develop a residual income stream that allows you to be able to do what you want to do rather than what you have to do, would it be worth it? So the point is it comes back to make a commitment. And how do you know if you made a commitment? Because you see it through. There's actions and activities that support that commitment. But it all comes back to this personal growth plan's got to be a priority. Are you reading every day? What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Never take advice from somebody that doesn't want what you have. I just scroll through social media, and honestly, sometimes I almost have to completely just shut it down and turn it off. I'm spending less time on social media. You may have noticed that on my personal page, I'm not even posting every day anymore. You want to know why? Because my goals and dreams are too important for me to sit around and watch what other people are doing. And the things that I'm going to focus on are content, my personal content, engaging with people occasionally. But you know what? I look through social media news feeds, and what I see is so many people that are out there that are giving advice. Everybody wants to give advice. They put their successful quotes up. They even do their Facebook lives. But they're not living it. They're not doing it. And look, people talk, there's all these courses about, build my brand, build my brand. How do I build my brand? You want to know how you build your brand? Do something worth talking about. You know what? 57 rules of success. You know what they are? 1 through 56 don't matter. 57 is deliver the results, period. And if you deliver the results, you're going to do something worth talking about. You're going to have credibility, and guess what? That will build your brand. Everybody today is trying to shortcut the system. Everybody today wants to go take this course and start taking these photos and start doing this, and they spend more time doing all that stuff than just going out there and doing it. So again, your personal growth needs to be a priority. Who are you listening to? Never take advice from somebody that doesn't have what you want. Certainly don't take advice from your broke uncle or your broke aunt. It amazes me. In our profession, what's the first thing that happens? You talk to somebody and they think, oh, I'm going to call 2 or 3 people and see what they think. And they call the brokest people that they know. Hey, newsflash, there's a reason why a lot of them are broke. Don't mean to be rude, but there's a reason why. It's their habits and their mindset that have led them to that point. So don't let them pollute your decision-making process. If I want to make a big decision about my career path, guess what? I'm calling the mentors that have what I want in life. I've got friends that I hang out with. I've got family that I hang out with, but you know what? They're probably not going to be the people that I go to when it comes to financial advice. I'm going to go to the person that has what I want. So again, it all comes back to your personal growth and your commitment to your personal growth. And so these are 5 questions, again, that every single entrepreneur has got to ask themselves. And guys, you got to be, if you really want to be a top producer, okay, I'm only talking to those of you that want to be top producers. For those of you that are like, oh yeah, you know, I'm happy. I'm not hungry. I'm just kind of here for the social hour. I'm here just to be able, cool. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. 95% of your business are going to be people that do just a little bit. And in my profession, I'm talking to you guys that want to be top producers. This is what it takes. You've got to be real honest with yourself. You've got to stop lying to yourself. You've got to stop kidding yourself. And you've got to stop going through the motions, because you're not doing yourself any justice and you're not doing your team any justice. If you haven't sponsored somebody in 60 to 90 days, how are you going to inspire your team to do that? People do what they see, not what they're told. If you're not on the call on Monday night, your team's not going to be on the call on Monday night because you're not. So you're telling them it's not important. So you got to stop kidding yourself if you want to be a top producer. This is again, top producers talk here. So how many of you that are watching this want to be the 5%? How many of you are committed to being the 5%? Drop a 5. The 5%. Drop a 5 into the comment section if you are committed to going to be one of those 5%ers, those top producers, the elite. That's who this training is for. Okay? So, hope you guys enjoyed today's training. If you got some value out of it, a couple of things that I'd ask for you to do. Share it. Share today's training. We're going to keep the group open long enough just to give our people an opportunity to be able to come and join Momentum. Second thing, go up to the group here in Momentum, or if you're on my personal page and catching this, and click notifications and see all posts if you don't want to miss some of the future trainings that we do. We would love to make sure that you guys are in tune with the training and the value that we're doing our best to be able to bring to you, okay? So with that, thank you very much for tuning in today, you guys. Hope you guys got something out of today's training, and we'll be back again soon with another one in the near future. You guys take care. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye now.